I was bored of playing Minecraft, and then I remembered hardcore mode exists. A game mode where a single mistake can cost you the entire world. This sounds fun. I decided to set myself 3 main goals for my 100 days. The first goal is to beat the Ender Dragon and find an Elytra. The second goal is to get full enchanted Netherite armor. And the third and final goal is to actually enjoy the game. Everyone can relate to losing interest in Minecraft over time, and I don't want that to happen. So hopefully this hardcore world will show me that survival Minecraft can still be just as addictive as always. Anyway, this is how I survived 100 days in hardcore Minecraft. I wanted to get through the early game as quickly as possible, so I wasted no time. I made wood and tools, which I immediately upgraded to stone and started exploring the world. I wanted iron, so I went into a cave, collecting coal along the way, but the cave didn't really go anywhere, so I went back to exploring. While exploring, I found some sugarcane and came across a shipwreck. The shipwreck had 11 iron total in it. This was huge, so I crafted an iron pickaxe as well as a chestplate. As night came around, I went into a bigger cave to get some shelter and cook my food. I got enough iron for full armor and tools from a mineshaft. Also in the mineshaft there was a chest, and inside was an efficiency 5 book. I don't know how rare this is, but I was very happy. It would save a lot of time in the future, so I needed to get it on a diamond pickaxe as soon as possible. On day 2 I found a ruined portal with gold and enough obsidian to finish the portal. I went into the Nether and it was a terrible spawn, so I left straight away and looked for a village. On day 3 I found a village in the plains biome, and I straight away made a pit of villagers to keep them safe. This would allow me to trade with them later and also make breeding them much easier. I also started a sheep farm to get beds for villager breeding, and I stole hay bales from the village to get bread. Day 5 was time for my first major project. I went to the nearby jungle to collect a lot of wood. I also collected bamboo, which I came home and planted, and turned all my wood into sticks. I collected some flint and made some fletching tables to get emeralds and traded with the fletchers. I left the villagers alone for a bit and they eventually started breeding. I'm not sure why, but this baby had a huge head. Can someone tell me why? Anyway, I fed them more food and left them to be. Day 6 was spent mining wood to collect materials to build a house. I was sick of living outside and I needed a place to store my items. On day 7 I went into a cave and got my first diamonds, and I waited for a villager to grow up so I could get the one thing I needed, which was silk touch. Because silk touch is the best, it means you can get stone and stone bricks. I'm not sure why anyone would go mining without silk touch. And then I started rolling trades with the librarian to get my silk touch. Day 8 I finally got it. It was quite expensive, but I bought it anyway. I was short of iron for an anvil, so I killed the golem, crafted an anvil, and then made my silk touch efficiency 5 pickaxe. Day 9 I decided it was time to build the house. I spent the day clearing lands and began. Before we carry on, it's time for some audience participation. How long do you think this video took to play, record and edit? Is it A, 10 minutes, B, 3 hours, or C, 2 months? It's C, so please subscribe to make it all worth it. I finished building on day 20 and the house looked reasonably good. It was kind of empty inside, so I'll fill it with things as I play. I needed to get full diamond armor, so I went into the caves and did some mining. Day 21, all I have in my notes is that I got full diamond armor, went home and slept. So I spent the rest of the day collecting wood, and on day 23, I started trading with fletchers for emeralds. I also did some rolling trades for enchantments, and eventually got a cheap sharpness 4, so I got 2 and made my sword sharpness 5. Over the next few days, I repeated this cycle of wood, emeralds and enchantments, until on day 25, when I got looting 3. Which would be very helpful when I needed the blaze rods and wither skulls. On day 26 I got feather falling 4, arguably one of the best enchantments in the game, and then it took me 4 more days until day 30 to finally get protection 3. Yes, it was only prot 3 because I was losing my mind rolling for trades. Also on day 30 I made a fun little ladder to make getting wood easier, and I collected enough emeralds to get full protection 3. On day 31 my anvil broke, so I went into the caves to get some iron. I came back and smelted it, and began planning something to save lots of time in the future. An iron farm. I'll leave the link to the iron farm in the description, so you can find it yourself. So I spent the rest of the day collecting materials. On day 34, I started to build the iron farm. I should probably add that this iron farm took me way too long. I don't know why, but I'm incapable of moving villagers. So I wasted about 15 days building the iron farm, but I'll quickly summarise what I did. On day 38, the villagers made me not want to live anymore. It took me 30 minutes to transport one villager to the farm, and I needed 20. Anyway, I won't show the villager travels as it's probably quite boring to watch. On day 40 I travelled to another village to get hay for bread to breed the villagers. And day 49 I finished the iron farm and my tools were about to break, so I made getting mending as well as prot 4 a priority. For the next few days I traded with villagers to get more and more emeralds to carry on improving my equipment, so I'll quickly summarise what I did. Day 50 to 52 was spent collecting wood, trading with Fletchers over and over and over again until day 53, when I eventually had enough emeralds for full protection 4 armour. I also rolled for mending and got it for 32 emeralds, but I thought it was too expensive, so I just ignored it and I went for power 5. I should probably note that I would really regret this in the future, as I spent many days going for mending and eventually got it even more expensive than 32 emeralds, so I wasted all of that time. Day 55 I got my power 5 bow, and day 57 I got infinity, so I made my overpowered bow which would help me with the ender dragon later on. On day 58 there was a very expensive mending book for sale, so I decided to get it because I was losing my mind, and I put it on my tools. I also went into the Nether and mined some quartz to get some XP to heal my pickaxe. I found a fortress which was pretty much next to the portal, which would be very useful because it's easy to access. I got some blaze rods on the way and I wanted to find a bastion, so I wandered around until I found one. On day 59 I found the bastion and it was the treasure type. If you didn't know, this is probably the best bastion type you can find, with lots of gold and chests with overpowered loot. You can literally find netherite in a treasure bastion. However, they are also the most dangerous bastion, as well as the most annoying to navigate, in my opinion. So I spent days 60 and 61 looting the bastion, and I traded with some piglins, although I forgot that ages ago piglins were nerfed, so it's hard to get ender pearls from them now, so I wasted all that gold. I went home and I desperately needed a source of XP, so I decided to settle for a simple spawner XP farm, which would do for now. On day 62 I finished the XP farm. It was terrible, but it would do, and I stayed until my pickaxe was healed. But now, I was tired of having diamond tools and armour, so I decided it was time to start finding ancient debris. My strategy for ancient debris was simple: insta-mine with my pickaxe until it's almost broken, then repair it in the XP farm. Also, I tried using beds a bit, but it didn't really help. I feel like watching me mine for ancient debris would be boring to watch, so I didn't record much of it. On day 67, I finally got enough ancient debris to make netherite tools and armour, but I forgot about the template, and I needed diamonds to clone the template, so I went into the caves to get enough. Around this time I actually messed up the days in my notes, which would explain why I had written day 68 4 times. So I was actually in the caves for a few days, but I think I actually finished on day 68. Anyway, I eventually got full netherite armour, and my goodness was I looking good. I also decided to get more wood for full mending. On day 70, I got full mending and one extra mending book for an elytra when I got it. I needed more XP to make full mending armour, which I could get from the ender dragon, so I decided I was ready to beat the game and I spent the day looking for the stronghold. On day 72, I found the stronghold, but there was a problem. It just so happened that the portal was empty, meaning I was exactly 2 eyes short. It was annoying because I spent ages looking for the stronghold, but I had the genius idea to use the obsidian from the portal room to make a nether portal, which just so happened to be about 200 blocks from my home portal, which would also make an easy connection between my home and the end. So after I went home and made some more eyes, it was finally time to beat the game. 74 days had led up to this. I went back to the stronghold and jumped through the portal. Well, that was surprisingly easy. After collecting the XP from the dragon, I towered up to the end gateway and went through. To save blocks, I made slabs to bridge across the void. After a while, I eventually had an end city with a ship come into my render distance, so I went up to it. I got my elytra and stayed to collect a few shulker shells. Day 75 I got home, but I needed a level 30 enchantment table for Unbreaking 3, so I went back to the stronghold for bookshelves from the library. On day 76 I used all of my levels on enchanting books to get Unbreaking. I got Unbreaking 2, which is good enough, and I also got some more really good enchantments. Day 77, I went into the caves for diamonds because I wanted to be a bit richer, so the next 3 days were spent mining in the caves. Right, so from day 80 to 82, I was in the Nether fortress killing wither skeletons to get wither skulls. The problem is that I actually completely forgot about these wither skulls for the next 20 days, so I actually didn't end up beating the wither in this 100 days, but let's just pretend I did. Day 82, I spent some time lighting up the area around my house to stop mobs from spawning at night. Day 83 to 85 was spent upgrading my house, adding some nice touches to the downstairs area. I built a farm at the front of my house and went to a nearby village to get carrots for a future project. I was going to need a lot. I planted the carrots using bone meal to get enough carrots for the entire farm area, and then made loads of chests to make a new storage area. Day 86 to 90 was spent moving my items into chests and repairing my tools. Now all of my items were organised into chests of similar items thanks to the item frames, so I would easily be able to find them and in the future. I added an armor trim. I just picked a random trim that I had and made it diamond, and it looked cool. Day 91 and 92, I genuinely have no idea what I did because there's nothing in my notes. From day 93 to 98, I went looking for ice, for a project which will remain unnamed for now. So as I flew over, I saw some ruined portals which I collected gold blocks from to make golden carrots. I found a snowy village, and eventually came across an ice spikes biome. So I filled almost a full shulker box with ice before my pickaxe almost broke. I then came back and repaired my pick with quartz in the Nether. Also on day 98, I collected some glowstone and shroom lights. On day 99, I realised I wasn't going to be able to complete this project, so I decided to call it quits, and instead spent the next 2 days lighting up the base area, harvesting the carrots and collecting some wood. And day 100, so this was it. I had made it to day 100, but I don't want to stop here. I have so many ideas, so many plans that this is just the start. If you don't want to miss the insane projects I have planned, subscribe. So with that, this was how I survived 100 days in hardcore Minecraft.